potentially like this is what needed to happen for others to awaken. I mean, I'll say like I think that sometimes, but then it's hard because when
Yeah.
it's impacting our communities the way that it
Yes.
is, when it's
Yes.
like so brutal and so like raw, I think it's hard. Hola, you are listening to First Gen Healing, a podcast on Latinx healing and awakening journeys. And today I'm so excited. You guys are going to recognize this voice. I actually was looking, and Michael, you've been here every single year, I think. So, like once a year, this is our once
Ooh,
a year appointment.
yes.
So, Michael Lemus, welcome on the podcast. How are you today?
I am doing okay. We're working through some tech issues because I don't know what's up in the air, but we figured it out. We are here. I'm doing good and I'm excited. I didn't know it was once a year, but that's right. Like it's been,
I
I
think
think, was it
so.
2023, 24, now
Yeah.
25, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to be here. Third time's a charm.
Yeah. Yes, I was listening a little bit to our previous episodes, and so like just to get some to refresh my mind on what we've talked about. And the first episode we actually did together was about awakening, and
Mm.
we were baby creators, you know, we
Yeah.
were younger. We were like talking about how it's kind of scary to talk about awakening. And since
Mm.
then, I've been thinking back, like I've seen you like around that time you started to do lives and you had this empath deck, right, that you would pull from. And
Yes. Yes.
and I feel like it's part of your evolution, right? Like I know you've kind of then moved into different type of content or aligned, but like you've explored
Yeah.
different avenues. And similar, you know, I think I started to be like, okay, what does life feel like? And then like what does it feel like to talk about awakening? And then our past episode, we talked more about first gen life, healing,
Mm.
family, a little bit of estrangement and that kind of stuff. So today we're going to talk about all of it, kind of combining it all, bringing it all in. And you use this word, the intersection, right, of like
Yeah.
awakening, the current state of, let's say, the world, the country, life. And then also, I think as a little bit more seasoned awakened people, noticing that others are going through their awakening and maybe
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being either a guiding light or a shoulder for them to lean on, and being like, yep, I've been there through that dark night of the soul, through the tower moments where everything falls apart,
Yes. Yeah.
um, which seems like it's like reflecting on what's happening on the world stage. So
Absolutely.
that's a
Yeah.
huge topic. We'll see what we can get in,
Just a
what we
little.
can fit what we can fit into this hour. But I'm so excited to dive in. What I wanted to show in this conversation is just where our minds go, where our thoughts go, the dots we've been connecting, and like the questions
Yeah.
we've been having, and just sharing that, because I think not everyone gets to have spaces like this or people where they can feel truly comfortable, like sharing their like their thoughts, you know, and their
Yeah.
way of viewing life or what they're experiencing and stuff like that.
Well, I
That's a
am
lot.
manifesting that this reaches all the people that need to hear it. Because I think, to your point, there are a lot of people that are navigating this from different levels, but could
Mm-hmm.
all, feel into the experience and relate to it just in different ways. And so I'm excited. I'm excited. It's a nice way to just like round out a lot of what we've been talking about through the years. So let's jump in.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like where should we start? I think
I
like
know,
so
right?
much
I
comes to
know.
mind. Yeah. Maybe just planning some of the things that came up in the beginning as you were thinking about
Yeah.
this episode and I was, which was like there's so many different ways of viewing what is happening from
Yeah.
like a political standpoint, from an
Hmm.
astrology girly standpoint,
Hmm.
from a light workers awakened chosen one
Hmm.
standpoint, aliens are coming. You know.
I think they're already
And
here, but
ooh, okay. Yeah. And so it's like making sense of it, right? I think, you know, as we're going through these journeys, we're unlearning all the conditioning and just opening our minds to different
Yes.
perspectives and
Yeah.
recognizing different points of views aren't always opposing. Like they're kind of pointing the same
Hmm.
things out, just in different
Hmm.
ways,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so that's such a powerful point. Because that's something I've been thinking about with just everything that's happening in the world, but I know both of us live here in the United States, and so we're going through it right now. And it is interesting because I feel like a lot of people are saying similar things just through very different lenses. So, like, you have the
Mm-hmm.
astrology girlies that are talking about what's in the transits and Pluto and Aquarius. You have, the political commentators and content creators that are talking about all the stuff that's happening on the policy end and just what we're going through and the rights that are being taken away. And then you have people just from different spaces, right? Like community advocacy that are like out there on the front lines and trying to bring community together. You have people like you and I that are using our platforms to go ahead and speak up on these topics, but also connect it to people that are doing their own individual healing, because
Yeah.
I truly believe there's a really big collective awakening going on right now. But in order for the collective to awaken, there has to be an individual experience as well. Um,
Mm.
and I just find all that stuff really fascinating because you're right. Like, people are talking about very similar things, and I think what I think you and I can do actually is actually, connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much of it, and like, I don't know, have you seen that meme? I think it's Winona Ryder at the award show, but there's like all these like symbols, and it's like that's how I feel like my mind is sometimes when I'm thinking about
Yeah.
everything, especially as like
Mm-hmm.
spiritual folks. Like, we catch things and we see the patterns, and that's just kind of where I've been this past, like, I would say year and a half, is seeing
Yeah.
the patterns and seeing all those symbols. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it because
Mm.
I think a lot of people are seeing the patterns but maybe don't have all the connections to the other spaces.
Yeah. I like, okay, maybe we could start there with like the individual, like why does individual awakening
Yeah.
have to happen versus or for a collective one to happen?
Mm, yeah.
Um
Yeah.
one
What do you think?
point, yeah, like one point that I remember is that I was in a community or a group for Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
It's very specific, Pluto and Scorpio people. Which I
Interesting.
imagine you have
I was gonna say I'm a Scorpio
potentially.
sun. My Mars is in Scorpio
Oh,
too, so I'm very
I would
drawn
love
to
to
the
know.
Scorpio.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people, I think a lot of the people that are able to are like kind of zooming out are Pluto and Scorpio
Mm-hmm.
también. Well, anyways, I was part of this group and she was talking about like individuation from your family. And
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
as a first gen, obviously, like it's hard to when you grow up being enmeshed or you're told that that's the way that you're supposed to be, and you're like questioning all the things, doing the work. It is hard to like separate all the things, right? Because it does feel
Absolutely.
all like
Yep.
one. Like your hurt, your pain is my pain, and that means
Mm-hmm.
love. And so it's like disconnecting with like these thought forms. And so, anyway, she was talking about like individualization, and I love that she explained that because it did make sense to me how like in order for us to be able to show, let's say at a family level or friendships, like true love, we have to know that for ourselves. If the version
Yes.
of love that we know is toxic, is codependent, it's like
Mm-hmm.
enmeshed, then we're just feeding into these cycles that aren't serving us, right? And so when we learn to individuate and love ourselves and truly know what that means, like what does it mean to fill my cup instead of filling yours and then resenting you for it and then resenting me for you, like I see, it's
Yes.
like you start to realize, oh, this is love. And then like peace, right? Like growing up, I thought peace meant that everyone in my family had to be good, and the
Mm-hmm.
reality of life is like it's a shit show, right? And so like if I
Uh-huh.
were to say,
Yeah.
oh, I don't get to experience peace until like everyone is doing okay, then I wouldn't feel peace. But I had to learn, well, what is peace? What does that feel like? How do I find it within me? And so all of these things that
Wow.
almost felt like, no, but I want to take my family along on this ride, or my,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
my previous life around in this ride. It's like, no, you have to find it for yourself before you can truly like bring it in for
Yes.
others.
Yes.
Um and so that's a little piece, right? It doesn't solve all the answers, but I just like want to bring that in because that clicked something in my mind where I was like, okay, it does make sense that I do have to step back a little in
Mm-hmm.
order to learn this for myself, because we can't multiply something that is not good. Like if we want more
Yeah.
love in the family,
Yeah.
if it's not really love, we can't, it's not going to feel good no matter how much of it we try to create. You kind of have to find it for yourself, and then you're able to bring it back if you want to, or if it feels aligned.
Yeah. A lot of the work that I've been doing in my own individual talk therapy, especially the last, I would say, 2 years. Um, and for folks that haven't caught the last episode that you and I did, we did talk on estrangement. And so I'm going
Yeah.
on a little over 2 years of estrangement, specifically with my parents, but really, if we're being honest, like it's pretty much all my family at this point.
Mm.
Um, and it's been interesting, right? Because like what you're talking about at the individual level, like I very much, when I went through like the first onset of my spiritual awakening, it was like 2018, 2019. I think we talked about that during the first episode. Um,
Mhm.
what I like awakened to at that point, and I remember I did an Akashic Records reading. And if folks haven't done that before, it's fascinating.
Mm.
Um, but I did that, and this was like I think fall-ish of like 2018. And in that reading, like what came out of it, like the biggest message to me was like you're gonna be the breaker of generational trauma. And at that point, like I didn't even have awareness of what even really was going on in my family. Um,
Mhm.
and there I've been seeing a lot of TikTok videos pop up, and it could be the algorithm, it could be my spirit guides, I don't know. But I've been seeing a lot of videos that are like, hey, this cycle of like the last 6, 7 years is closing. And it
Mm.
made me think back to like that moment where the way that I interpreted like you are the breaker of generational trauma was that I had
Mhm.
to save everyone, that I was responsible, that I was going
Oh.
to be the one to basically help all the people, fix all the issues. And it wasn't until recently where I started doing more individual therapy where I'm learning like love should not be transactional. Like real true
Mm.
love should not be transactional, including in your
Yeah.
family. And I realized like in my family dynamics there was a lot of transactional love, that like there
Mhm.
was an exchange of some sort. And I realized I'm like, that's not like, and there are aspects of true love, yes, but a lot of it was transactional, and like I had to do something as a son, as a family member, in order to be received in a certain way. And so
Mhm.
it's interesting because now I see it like, oh, when I'm thinking about being a cycle breaker, and I just made a video about this recently, where it's like it's not our job to save everyone, but the intersection of like being first gen, and let's say you're a product of immigration and you're Latino, and like all
Yeah.
these things, the culture plays a part in what we believe too and what we've been socialized to believe. And that's
Yeah.
why I know when I've had conversations with fellow first gen Latinos, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow when I tell them, like, I currently don't have a relationship with my parents. And I had to be the one to walk away from certain things, not just from them, but also from other things that I witnessed in our family dynamics, like since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting now connecting those dots where I'm like, oh, sometimes being the cycle breaker is going to be walking away. And it's going to be
Mm.
placing those boundaries. It's going to be like, hey, and it doesn't mean that you like never talk to whoever is on the other end for the rest of your life, but it may be that you take a step away to reflect, heal, do whatever the healing modality is. For me, it's been a lot of it has been therapy, but also the spiritual side of realizing like, oh, maybe generational trauma, the way that I first thought about it, which was like, save everyone, is not about saving everyone, because now I
Yeah.
see it as like, if I can heal myself and talk about that experience and do things like this and create content, and, it's not like I didn't try talking to my family about these things. It will model that. It will shine a light. And I do believe strongly that, that light will either attract people that are on a similar journey, or will help awaken people to be like, ooh,
Mm.
am I going through that too? Like, so
Mhm.
yeah. And
Mhm.
I feel like that connects to this greater collective experience that I feel like a lot of people are going through right now.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I think like I like that you said, and I did try to talk to them. It also makes me think about the love and light people that wanted to go off the
Yes.
grid. um,
Let's get into that.
um, it's interesting because when I was first awakening, I started
Hmm.
to tune into content of people that moved out and did get out, like live off the grid,
Yes.
right? So
Same.
like
Same.
the thing was go to Costa Rica or this like
Hmm.
place and like
Yep.
live in nature and only commune in nature and only talk about this. And not to say like I'm not about that. I think like there's beauty in that, but
Yeah.
I think everyone's getting this rude awakening that this 5D that people talked about, this new earth does not come and everything washes away. Like, you need to come back, homie.
All of that.
We need you in
All of
here,
that.
like this isn't
Hmm.
going to happen without us, so we don't
Yep.
get to just like go to the moon and live out this like 5D lifestyle. And it's been for me too, it's just kind of like, come back, girl, come back. Because I think when you're on this path, and let's say you start manifesting, or you start recognizing, oh, I do attract, like my vibe does attract my tribe. Oh, there are
Mm.
like-minded people. Oh, there's people that think like me, that feel like me, that are conscious like me. Like, I almost felt like, oh, I'm floating away from this bad
Yeah,
stuff, the ugly stuff, the
yeah,
ugh,
yeah.
right?
Oof,
um, Even like starting to create income outside of a 9 to 5, and just feeling
yeah.
like, oh, this is also possible. But I think these times sat me right back down, like, hey, like, you're part of the change. You don't get to just be like, oh, I changed, so like, I nos vemos, like,
Yeah, like what? Yeah, I have so many freaking thoughts. When I also first started my awakening, um, that was one of the reasons why I actually, interestingly enough, started making like content more officially. I guess a few years back was
Okay.
because there was a lack of representation, and I know we talked about this a lot before in
Yeah.
previous episodes, but like, there's a lack of representation when it comes to not spiritual people per se, but like spiritual people that get actually put up in spaces like, when it comes to large talks or
Mm-hmm.
symposiums. It's a lot of the same type of people that end up,
Mm-hmm.
getting the spotlight when it comes to spiritual development. Um, and it just makes me think of like, the people, the waves of folks that I came across in the beginning. It was a lot of bypassing. I'm just going to say that, like, right off the bat. Like, it was a lot of
Mm-hmm.
bypassing. It was a lot of privilege. I'm also just going to name that right off the bat because it was a
Yeah.
lot of people that are like, oh, I don't tune into any of like the bad news because that lowers my vibration. And it's like, there's privilege in being able to do that because what about the people that are literally just trying to live their lives and provide for their families and just go to work that are being disappeared right now?
Yeah.
Do you think that they can just go ahead and magically just manifest a life where that's not happening? Like, and that's always bothered me strongly because there are a lot of people that frankly have the privilege to not tune in. I
Yeah.
think that's what it comes down to. Is like there are people that do have the privilege to not tune in. That's not to say that the people out there that are deciding to, place boundaries and like not be as consumed by the fear. Like I do understand that. And that's not just one type of group that's doing that. Like I know a lot of people are like, I just need a break. Like I need a mental break from some of these things. But
Yeah.
there are some people that are like only love and light, only talk about positive vibrations and uplifting vibrations. And it's like, I agree with aspects of that when it comes to bringing positivity into the world. And I also, and I'm just going to say it, like, I hate when people say, oh, we're just one human race and I don't talk about color. And it's like,
Mm.
and the reason why I say like I hate it and use such a strong word is because I understand what people are trying to say when they're saying like one human race, like we're all humans, we should all be able to love and respect one another. But the reality of the world, and this is not just here in the United States, the reality of the world is that there is colorism, there is anti-blackness, there is racism, like all over the world. There's colonialism and all these things. And so
Yeah.
to say that you don't see color is another form of privilege because it's like, are you yourself not being impacted? And that's how you get to say that
Mm.
because
Mm-hmm.
there are so many people, including spiritual people, that do not get that privilege. Like they just don't. Um, and so as I think about this, I'm just like, I think that to your point, like we have to have a collective conversation around like what does it look like to still be spiritual and have boundaries, heal ourselves, and acknowledge like what's right in front of our eyes. Like we see
Yeah.
homelessness every day. Like we see people that have multiple jobs in this country and still cannot get by. Like how can we ignore that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. But that's my that's my empathic soul here. Like I just can't. Like it's not possible for me.
Yeah. Well, no, I think like I always got this word like grounded expansion, and it's interesting
Mm,
because I got it when I first started to awaken, and I did not know what it meant. Like I remember
that's
I
fascinating. I
drew.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I think I keep coming back to it. It's like whatever we tune into, listen to, believe in, it has to be grounded. It has to be from, like, there has to be roots to it. It can't be so floaty, you know? And I think
Yeah.
there is a lot of floaty thought forms. Like, I don't know if you ever heard like the 888 portal, and like the 5D is
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
opening, and
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know, and there were people that I really loved listening to, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Do you guys feel it? We're here in the 5D." And like, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, and so I think my awakening brain was just like, "Oh, okay, you know, like I have to be more mindful of like who I listen to and what I believe in," because like you said, like there's just a lot of people that have the privilege to not pay attention, to say that's not my issue because look at me, like I
Yes.
have a better life and it's because I figured out the way and I can teach you the way. But sometimes it's not grounded, right? Expansion, it's like grounded in privilege maybe, or grounded
Yeah.
in getting to turn the other cheek. And or there may be people of color who do preach this too, but I think
Hmm.
like you said,
Yeah.
um I literally was thinking about that yesterday. I was driving and there was this homeless guy, right? And I was like,
Hmm.
imagine that, like the conditioning we received is when you see someone that's homeless, like the community gathers and feeds them, houses them, helps them. Like that's that, if that were to be like our
Yeah.
natural instinct, if there were movies and videos and
Yep.
commercials that like preach that, we would be conditioned into that, and there would be a different way of existing, even just when it comes to homeless. Because I was watching him because he
Yeah.
was in a street where people drive super fast, right? And I was just like,
Hmm.
man, if this guy just like knocks out for a little bit or whatever, like that's so scary, right? So anyways, I think like I like that we're just naming the things, because all of these things probably cross our minds, and those of you listening potentially too, you're trying to make meaning of everything that you're seeing and experiencing. And maybe we could talk about the astrology girlies a little bit, because I think
Yes.
also that,
Yes.
you know, like the age of Aquarius. So
Yes. I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
yeah. So in 2018 actually, is when I was in contact with an uncle of mine. He was an astrologist,
Yeah.
and he lived in Venezuela. And so he was telling me about this age of Aquarius and like how things are going to change, people are going to change, the world is going to change. And at that time I was going through the dark night of my soul. So I think he was trying to bring in some light, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm. Hmm.
um and so I remember thinking about that and recognizing like, oh, okay, like there's other people awakening and it's for this reason, and etc. Um, but it's been a rude awakening to see like in order to get to whatever that is that there's all of this, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Has it made you disconnect from the belief of that? Or do you feel like you're still thinking like, or do you still believe, oh, this is what needs to happen in order to get to that? Like
Yeah.
where does your mind go?
You know, it's interesting. Because for those that are not familiar with my background, like, I have an interesting background. A lot of people, it's funny because like I talk so much about content creation. I've been doing this for a while that like people
Mm-hmm.
sometimes are like, "Oh, you do this full time?" And it's like, actually, no. I would love to at some point, but I've done so many things in like education and policy and government, and have been involved in those spaces, especially in like progressive equity type spaces. And so I've gotten the honor and privilege, right, to be able to witness what it also looks like when policies are being put into place, when there's conversations about those things. And so I saw the writing on the wall. And if we're really just being honest about what happened with this past election, like I saw the writing on the wall for a long time. Like I knew what would happen if
Mm.
he got elected again. Like I just knew it. And I tried, I tried and tried, and so many
Yeah.
people did to tell people. And we still got what we got. But after being in this for almost a year, um,
Can
I
you
do have
talk
to
real
say
quick
that,
about what you did get to do? Because you got to work on
yeah,
the campaign for, yeah,
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, which is interesting too, because like never thought I was gonna do that.
yeah.
So by the universe, because I really feel like the universe just shows up with these opportunities. So gosh, I think it was summer, like right before summer started, or like right around summer 2024. I saw someone online that was talking about like, hey, like the Democratic National Convention is going to have an opportunity for content creators to be part of the convention for the first time. I was like, that sounds cool. But I've never done content creation that's like strictly like political or like political type
Mm.
content. That's not
Mm-hmm.
been my lane whatsoever prior to this election cycle. But I was like, I'm gonna apply and see what happens. I'm like, I'm not in the arena, so I wouldn't be surprised if I get rejected, but we'll see. So
Mm-hmm.
put my name in the hat and then got to be one of the virtual correspondents to cover the event. And so that led to actually being part of the Creators for Kamala campaign. So it was content creators from all over that got to make content on behalf of the Harris campaign. And that was so cool. Like, I love that experience. And it
Mm.
also opened up a lot of opportunities in terms of like me getting connected to so many other people that are doing civic engagement work and like equity type work. So it opened up like a brand new arena for me that I
Yeah.
was not at all used to when it comes to like the politics of it all. And let me just say this as a disclaimer. Like, I understand that when it comes to politics, like a lot of people have distrust. And so I'm not at all saying
Mm.
like, hey, like everything's perfect or that there's a perfect candidate because I don't believe that. Um, but it was where I was aligned, right? And I still feel very aligned with more of a progressive, kind of like liberal type of space. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but to circle back to your initial question, I do feel like how things ended up going is part of it, and it's horrible and it's like shitty that we have to go through all this stuff to recognize like the reality of this country.
Yeah.
Um, and the beginning foundations. Because if you think about it, right, like I've thought about this a lot. And I have my master's in higher education. And so, even in education, when systems of higher ed were created, they were created for wealthy white men. It was very, very
Mm.
specific. It was created for wealthy white men. And now we've seen more access through the years, right? But we know that the inequities are still there. Like, and that's just one space. There's education,
Mm-hmm.
there's the legal
Health
system, there's
insurance.
yeah, like health. Oh my gosh, like the housing crisis. Like there's so many things, and so now people are awakening to one. I think like the true reality of the country, and that it was founded on the stealing of land. It was on the backs of slaves that this country and the foundations were actually built from, right?
Yeah.
And even slavery and like the impacts of slavery, how that didn't just end when slaves were freed. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
there's still aspects of all that horrible stuff that happened at the beginning of the country that are still in almost all facets of our American system. And so I think now people are like, ooh, yikes. Like ugh. And so
Oopsies.
now seeing that, I'm just like, even if she would have won, um, she still would have inherited that system. And
Mm.
frankly, the system was not built to keep us fully safe because we're seeing that right now. Like everything that we were saying, like, oh, well, that would never happen because we have all these systems and we have all these safeguards. Like that all went to shit when
Yeah.
like so much of this
So
stuff has
fast.
so fast. And like thankfully there's still some things that like, they're turning down legally that we can rely on, but a lot of the safeguards that we thought would keep us safe aren't they're just gone and it's really sad to see. But now I feel like with the power of social media, Age of Aquarius and all this stuff, people are seeing that firsthand, whether it's on your phone or people are just talking about it, all these protests that are happening. And so now I'm like, well, if people see it for what it truly is, and hopefully that will be the wake up call for people, including the people that are bypassing,
Mm.
to be like, oh crap, like this is really bad. And even if she would have won, like we still would have had so much work to do. This just feels accelerated. Like now that it's happened the
Mm.
way that it did, it just feels like it's so in front of our faces. And I think it's up to us on whether or not we're going to do something or if this is all going to go to hell. And I'm just like, ugh, it's scary. I'm
Yeah.
hopeful, but it's some scary shit. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for like sharing because I think like you've been vocal prior to and then now, and I have a harder time like calling it what it is and being more vocal about this kind of stuff. But I think that it has been interesting because I do remember watching you, and I think I was resentful towards the system to the point where I'm like,
Yeah.
man, there's just two arms of the same body. Like this is all
Hmm.
just, the awakening thoughts, which it is. Like I think it is, and yet también como it's the lesser of two evils, let's say, right? Like the
And a
that
lot of
like
people believe that.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
to then watch you also talk about now, like, you know, potentially like this is what needed to happen for others to awaken. I mean, I'll say like I think that sometimes, but then it's hard because when
Yeah.
it's impacting our communities the way that it
Yes.
is, when it's
Yes.
like so brutal and so like raw, I think it's harder.
I think what we're going through right now is not just this man got elected and all these policies are being set into place. Like, if you look at American history, if we're just talking about America, um, all this stuff that is being put into place right now was already outlined. Like, it's called Project 2025, y'all. Like, it's not only was it already outlined, but there have been foundations and organizations that have existed for decades, if not more than a century, that have been developing these policies. And that's why I feel so strongly about civic engagement, because I'm like, I need people to know
Mm,
that this type of shit is by design and also has been designed for decades, if not more. Like, this isn't just about this man, and it's not just about this administration. It's like this stuff was developed and thought of for a very long time. They're very intentional, and I was part of and still am as an alum, but of a progressive training organization. And day one, we learn about how outnumbered we are by conservative folks that are also getting training. Like, it was like at that point, for every one like progressive left leaning person, there's like 22 of a similar age demographic, and that was like years ago,
wow.
that are getting not only similar training, but obviously through conservative values. But they have so much more money, like so much more money,
Mm-hmm.
because those systems have existed for such a long time. And so for me, I'm like, well, then what can we do? And it's not to shame people that are like, you know what, I just can't. Like, I'm going to disconnect. It's more of like every single person, and this is part of the awakening for me, and I think for the collective is like, what's our role as an
Yeah.
individual? Like, what is our role in this time? Like, if we're truly going to go through what the astrology girlies are saying with like a brand new world and a more collective divine feminine type of an experience, then like we need to be part of that. Like, we're the building foundation to what a new reality can look like.
Yeah.
um and so that's what I've been thinking about. I was like, well, what the hell is my role? Like, I have all this experience, I'm going through this awakening as well, and so I'm like, what does that mean for me in terms of like how I have these conversations and the spaces that I occupy? And everyone's going to approach that differently. I just want more people to be aware of like that all this stuff at a high level is by design. It's like
Mm,
I just want people to be aware of that, because I think people are like, oh my gosh, how could this happen? Like, it's happening so fast. And it's like, y'all, like, I'm not surprised. It's horrible, and I really, really hate what's happening, especially when, and I have a lot of trouble seeing those videos of people being detained and like Home Depots and like just places where they're just trying to make a living. Like, I this like ugh, I have such a visceral reaction, and I hate that that has to be part of this experience. And so
yeah.
in no way am I being like, well, it's just part of it, right? Like, this is part of the grand thing. um but I think with us having access to the like social media, for people that maybe have never tuned into this stuff, they're realizing like not only how bad this is, but also before him, like some of these issues already existed, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it just happens to be that now it's like happening really, really fast, and it's just at all levels, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay, you
lot.
just grounded me because I feel like I was like, "Ugh." It's like overwhelming, you know, and like I
It
appreciate the way you're
is.
able to talk about this.
Thank you. It's overwhelming, and I think it's also. Can we just say that, like, it is okay to be overwhelmed. And just one last thing on this, real quick, because I hope that people can get something from still experiencing joy. Like, that's
mm,
something my partner and I have been talking about a lot. It's like, how do we fortify ourselves when the world is like sometimes feels like it's on fire, and like how do we cultivate joy, and like how do we cultivate safety in the spaces where we can. And that's been a grounding experience for me, because I consume a lot of this stuff, and I
yeah.
like analyze, and sometimes I have to remember like, hey, like, you're still living your life, and you have to experience some form of joy and like safety and fortification, and like that is still healing. Like, it doesn't mean that we're bypassing by experiencing like hanging out with a friend and going out to have, a coffee, like whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think like I do sometimes say like, oh, some people are still worried about what purse they want, and there is some
Yeah.
resentment there, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like I think we're all going through our own process in our own way, and sometimes sitting and overthinking isn't like helping anyway. I think about that too. So it's just yeah, there's so many like layers to it, and even the experience of getting to see it through a screen versus in person, or like um for the majority of the time I had been seeing it through a screen, like what was happening. But then I saw someone get like detained, on
Yeah.
my way to somewhere, and I stopped, and I like couldn't I like had almost like an anxiety attack, because it's just like so it hits so many layers of us as first
Yeah.
gens, and yeah, and then it's like, I mean, for me, I've been saying it, I've been naming it a little bit, where it's like, I think when I thought of what role do I play before this all escalated the way that it did, right? When it was like, what
Hmm.
role do I play? I felt like my role was to empower first gens to take up space, to claim their true authentic self, and to like dare to be who they are everywhere,
Yeah.
and that felt like okay, and that's how I do it through the podcast. Like I speak about the hard stuff, or I name the things that they don't name in our families, and I applaud people
Hmm.
who are doing things that maybe they're shamed for in their circles. And then when all of this has started to happen, it's been like a major like step back. Like, okay, what's my role again, right? Like rewriting that,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
yeah, circling back, pues, and being like, what is it now, and like how do I think it's all still aligned, but like now being mindful of the day to day experiences of more people. Like you said, this stuff has been happening for a while. It's not
Hmm.
new. I think for me, the way I see it is like just the way that it's being handled, the
Yes.
lack of
Yes.
respect for the law, the lack of
Yes.
respect for
Hmm.
anything. Yeah.
Thank you for naming that, because regardless of how people feel about the two-party system and Democrat Republican thing, I've now come to understand that a lot of this actually doesn't even have to do with the two parties. It has to do with like rich people becoming richer and
Mm,
ensuring, or trying to ensure, that we remain depleted, that there's infighting, that there is distractions, all that stuff. And again, like, this is where my mind goes to. I'm like, this is all design. Like, it is by design. And so, and when I think of my role, I'm like, I want people to know about that, because for a long time, and I know you and I have talked about like being tied to systems, right? Or like being part of systems. And I'm like, I've been a part of a lot of systems, especially when it comes to professional career. And I've seen a lot of different things, and I do believe that there are like really good people that are trying to actually enact like real change, whether it's through policy or politics, education. Like, there are truly good people out there.
yeah.
um and I also am aware of the reality that there's a lot of like darkness when it comes to, even on an individual level, like when you come across a leader that has been propelled throughout their career, and you realize that they're actually just really egotistical,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm.
they have just continued to rise up, but they're really, really ego based, and they don't treat people the nicest way. And so for me, I'm like, I want to open up at least more dialogue for these conversations through my content, so that people do awaken. I really feel like a lot of people maybe feel aspects of this and just don't have the words to kind of put it all together. And I'm feeling like, spiritually, I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few weeks. I'm like, maybe I'm one of, because I'm certainly not the one, but one of
Yeah.
a group of individuals that are supposed to be part of this timeline to like put the puzzle pieces together in a way that people can digest it and like understand.
Mm,
um and that's what I'm like starting to feel into more, where I'm like, okay, like, I think that's my role, is like connecting the dots, but also being able to talk about things through the like, an intersectional level, right? Because like we have the first gen, we have the Latino, I have like the healing and the estrangement piece to it too, and then I also have the professional experience and the spiritual piece. So it's like okay, bring it all together, and see, how we can talk to each other. But, um, one last thing that I've been thinking of too that I would love if like someone like you and just so many others, because there's so many cool creators out there, and I know you've come across them obviously on your podcast. Um, we need to bring people like you and I like into larger conversations. And I don't know exactly what this
Mm,
looks like, but I am really big on coalition building. And to me, this is coalition building. It's like bringing together people that understand this. And every single person in this coalition impacts different spaces. And like, what would it look like if we have a collective of people talking about this stuff? Um, and then like actually doing something about it. Like, and it doesn't have to be in like a huge fancy way. Like, I know some of us are limited in resources, right? Like, we don't have all the money and the millions to do everything we want, but I feel like that's what it's all about, like just community. And if we come together in these types of conversations, like someone's gonna have a resource for something, and like we connect. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking about.
mm,
I don't
okay.
know what that all looks like, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking up some things.
I'm interested to see what comes up for you. I personally, I've been dreaming of like a online summit type thing because
Oh
I think like
yes, yeah,
in my
yes,
awakening, I experienced it with the fellow whites. They have a lot of those, with fellow
so many.
like thought
Hmm.
leaders and stuff like that. So I've been dreaming of one for first gens, like specifically, obviously, right, with that cultural aspect and
Yeah.
experience. And I feel like I've been collecting Avengers through the podcast. Like I've been
Yes,
like
yes,
doot, doot,
yes.
doot. The Pokemons are all there. So I want to just like name that. I
I
see
totally see
that
that for
for
you, by the
next
way.
year.
Like
Yeah,
leading events and
yay.
summits, and just, I mean, you already do it through the podcast. So, like, what it would look like if you just did it through a facilitated event.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
want. But giving it the right focal point, like this is
Yes.
good, right?
Yeah.
Like having this conversation, because también, like if I copy paste what I saw, like is that really moving
Mm-hmm.
things forward? So like I like what
Mm-hmm.
you're saying of getting them together and then doing something with it, not just like come to the event, watch us, and then like
Yes.
let it
Yes.
go. So that's cool. You're adding like a layer to the potentiality, right, of
That's
this.
awesome. I love that. Let me know how I can help because I'm down.
Yes, I will. You're on my obviously, you're part of my list. Um, but yeah, it's this is like so good. I think even I don't know, for me, like I wanted to make it a little bit less all over the place, but also I
Yeah.
think that's where we're at. That's where we're
Yeah.
at. Like you said, like your identities, the different identities you hold, different spaces you occupy, all of us are like that. And
Hmm.
I'm currently doing this challenge of showing up authentically on social media for 28 days
Yeah.
straight. And it's
Woo.
with a whole like 1,500 fellow awakened people
Wow.
hmm that are like showing up, just camera, explore your shadow, basically. That's the task
Wow.
actually. And it's been really cool because it's spreading like wildfire in the best way. Like people are asking like, oh, what is this chat, like why are people showing up on my
Yeah.
feed
Yes.
more authentically, why is there less cookie cutter posts and stuff. And it's like those are like the seeds of change that I think are
Mm-hmm.
gonna create that impact that we're looking for and needing. I wonder if those of you listening, or like when you don't feel as connected, you wonder like, are we actually headed to something better? Do because these people do have so much money under their belt, so much planning, as you're saying, structures in their favor. Sometimes it does feel like a little bit disconnected to think like light will win, love will win,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. It's almost like it reminds me of when my sister was going through chemo and my family would just be like, oh, well, like, rezale a Diosito,
Mhm,
Diosito te va
mhm,
a ayudar. And
mhm.
the reality is that God did play a role in that experience, but sometimes it
Yeah.
felt like so disconnected from like the actual experience. Um,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
almost feels like this is similar, where it's like that hope that we will figure it out, that we will make better is still there, but sometimes it's harder to connect to it than maybe in the past.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's a day by day experience. I don't know if other people resonate, but like I fluctuate. Like at the core, I believe, and I've said this before in my videos where I'm like, you can call me Delulu or like a, optimist, whatever. But like at the core, I do believe that we're actually entering into a new era that will probably exist for like, I don't know, at least the next couple hundred years. Um, if you're talking about the astrology girlies and like where we're at in the transits, like I actually do believe in that. And I also believe that there are a lot of people, I don't know, in the time that I've been alive, and I'm in my 30s now. I don't know if I have ever witnessed like this many people from different backgrounds like
Mm,
come together in a mutual understanding, with this level of education and like access that
mm,
we have to. I mean, TikTok's been a game changer. Like social media has been a game changer in learning about everything, right? Like, I mean, we can see when events are happening, but also like you access like everything now in terms of like, oh, I want to learn about astrology. I want to learn about policies. I want to learn about like, making something. Like, there's so much access now, and
yeah,
I feel like a reminder that I have to give myself is like, well, if I'm one person and I have access to all these things and the things that I can do, then imagine if like another 100 people are doing something similar, another 1,000, another million. And another thing I have to remember too is like there are more of us than there are then. Like a lot more. Like a lot more. And I have to remember that because sometimes it feels like so dark and it's like, oh my gosh, like they have so much power, but it's like the people, like there's so many more of us than there are of people that think like that. Um, And it's not just like a love and light thing. And I think that's where sometimes things get misconstrued. It's like some people are like, oh, just like put out the love and light vibrations. It's like love and light is a nice, like core belief, but where is the action? And to
yeah.
me, like the action is like civic engagement, it's conversations like this, it's individual healing, it's, all sorts of things, and like I can bring in aspects of the love and light into what it is that I'm doing. But if I'm just saying like, well, we just gotta have faith and love and light, it's like, well, a lot of people have had that belief, and our systems have still continued to be the systems that they are. And so sometimes systems need to entirely crumble, or like people need to see through the cracks to be like, hey, actually we need to do something differently, like we need to approach it differently. And I do feel like that's happening now, and I don't know, it might be the Lulu, it might not, but I do feel like there's just a lot more awareness about this
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that aligned action, right? It's so interesting because
Yeah,
maybe if we
yeah,
haven't named it throughout the conversation, it does like everything does mirror. Like it's for example, when you're going through your awakening and you have all of these epiphanies and these downloads, or maybe you take plant medicine, it's like the world opens up, right? And then
yeah,
you have to integrate it. Like you go into the world and it's like,
yes,
oh,
yes.
oh, these are still edges. Oh, just because I know it doesn't mean I can embody it right away. Like it takes time. I think similarly, like it's what you're talking about, like these systems. Yes, we can tap into the hope and the knowing that better things are coming.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we also get to understand that we have to take like play a role. It doesn't have to be the same role. It doesn't have to be, but
Yes,
what role
yes.
are we playing to make the things happen? Because the aliens aren't going to come and just like, float. We're not just going to float away. We're not going
The
to,
rapture didn't happen,
yeah, the rapture didn't happen. 5D, unfortunately. I mean, there are new levels of consciousness maybe that a lot
yeah,
of us are more
yeah, yeah, yeah.
tapping into, but it won't just be like, oh, tomorrow all of those people that don't believe what we do are going to go away, like no, because then we're kind of replicating what they want but in a different way.
Yes. Yes. And you know what's interesting too is and this could be saved for another episode, but what I will say is like speaking of approaching things through or like saying a similar thing but approaching it differently. Um the belief in like aliens and 5D, and I know some people think it's like, oh, through going to heaven, or like there's so many different ways of approaching it, but a lot of it is like rooted in just like awakening to a higher consciousness. So whether you believe in for the like in source, or you believe in Gaia or the Buddha or Jesus, like whatever it is, like a lot of people have a belief in a source of consciousness that is just beyond them. And so, what would it also look like for people to unite in knowing that that is the case, and that a lot of people are actually just seeking a higher level of consciousness to just become better people,
Mm.
and to know that there is more beyond us. And I know not everyone believes that, but a lot of the division that exists, I think, in our, if you want to call it 3D world, um, is just by design. Like a lot of people are saying a lot of the same shit and not aware of the fact that like they just have different beliefs, but the core beliefs. And I learned about this when I was in high school. I took a comparative religions class, and I was like, a lot of these religions are saying very similar things. It's just different books and different, like, I'm just like, what? So anyways, just a reminder that people made religions and structures and
Mm.
all this stuff. And so a lot of us are saying very similar things. It's just that there is a purposeful division that benefits certain people. So just gonna say that.
Yes. Okay. So, you know what I was thinking?
Yeah.
Maybe we can end with like hope core, like dreaming of a better
Yes.
world of sorts,
Yes.
or like things that we've tapped into, like this could be better. Because like
I love that.
in this not specifically this challenge, but they've done different containers before and
Yeah.
actually online summits. And I've been able to tap into like or hear people who are rethinking like birthing experiences, rethinking the
Wow.
educational system,
Yes, 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 yes.
rethinking, you know, health and wellness. And that has been really cool to witness and just hear like how people
Yeah,
are working their way around and recognizing like how could it be better, how could it be different, like what is this
yeah.
better world that we're hoping for. So I wonder if like
I love that.
for you, when you think of that, what pops into your mind? What are things that would excite you about a better, different world?
Ooh, I love this question, and it's interesting you mentioned Hope Core because I've been thinking of my own content creation. I was like, oh, I want to create maybe a series, but for sure just like videos on Hope Core because
Ooh,
we could all
okay.
use that these days. Um, but I guess at a higher level, or I guess more of a zoomed out level, I want to envision and contribute to creating a world where people can have more of these conversations, just more openly, but with action being like embedded. And what I mean by that is like whether that's an event or an institute or a training or like a space where all that stuff exists. Like I through the election actually became that much more like interested in the civic engagement process where I'm like, what would it look like if we
Mm,
bring together, I mean, I'm talking about lots of people to these like town hall type things that politicians already do, um in like a similar structure, but to talk about this, like
mm,
this type of stuff, because I often feel like it's split up. So you have people that are talking about like the spiritual expansion, the healing, the working through generational trauma, and then you have like, let's say, these political town halls that are just talking about policy or like making sure you vote or like vote on this proposition. Um, and me, through my professional career, like I have a lot of facilitation experience and like training experience and public speaking and obviously content creation now. I'm like, I want to bring those skills together and then work with like-minded people that also have similar skills but also different ones, so we can amplify each other
mm-hmm,
to like just uplift these conversations, because I think there are a lot of people that are actually really interested, that may just not have like the space to do it, or because things are oftentimes like just very split up or like a tunnel vision in some ways.
yeah.
Like I'm like, a lot of us actually want to have these conversations. It just, I don't know, some people haven't been as open, or I know we get called like woo woo, and I was like, there's a lot more people that actually think like this. They just may not feel comfortable actually like airing it out because there's a lot of judgment about this stuff. But I'm at
Yeah.
a point now, like on an individual level, where I'm like, fuck it. Like, let's just have the conversations. And if people find this to be weird or don't believe it, they can literally scroll away. Like, I'm not losing anything. I'm not.
Mm,
I'm not. So, if anything, I'm gaining people that are interested, that, you know, we connected through social media. Let's just say that. Like, there's so
mm-hmm.
much power in telling your story and then you literally just finding each other on a feed and being like, whoa, like, look at all the things we can do now. So, that's my hope core. What about you?
Okay. Ooh, I like that idea. Like even like kind of halls or conferences, right? Where
Yeah.
maybe it could even be like we're about to have some uncomfy conversations. Let's ground. let's have them, and then let's try it
Yes.
again, like taking care, like
Yes.
teaching people how to take care of themselves. Because I think part of the healing and all of the things is expanding our bandwidth to deal with uncomfortable
Yes.
things, right? So like
Mhm.
coming back to the beginning of individuation, I think part of it, individuation, is like we become, I don't know if you see it this way, but alchemizers
Mhm.
essentially. So like
Yeah.
now
Oh
when
yes.
I
Yeah.
face an uncomfy conversation, sometimes I'm able to take deep breaths. I'm able to respond differently. I'm able to not take it personally sometimes. Like it's like
Yeah.
you're able, you become more
Yes.
agile. And I think we need that because it is hard to hear someone who has a different opinion than you or that feels so disconnected or privileged compared to you. And it's like at the end of the day, though, if we want connection, if we want community, we're going to have to be able to like meet each other in the middle in so many different ways, right? So that's a
Yes.
cool like U-turn
I
back in.
love
But
that.
okay,
Yes. We're putting
let's
out into the
see.
world. We've said it out loud. It's the universe has heard it. So
Yes. And let's see, what would be my hope core?
yeah.
One thing I loved hearing was like, imagine, so I live in like a cul-de-sac, right?
Mhm.
Imagine if the way we saw community or just like cities is like, hey, I have a lawnmower. None of you need to have one too. You guys can just rent it
Yeah.
out whenever, or like not rent it, but like
Yeah.
use it whenever you need it. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
We have great washer and dryer, like you guys can come and use that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then like we have a car, so not everyone needs two cars, like just in case one breaks down, like you can always use my backup. Cool. So because someone was saying, imagine you're
Yes.
in a cul-de-sac and everyone has a washer and dryer and everyone has a air fryer and everyone like, it's like all of this money that is spent when we could actually just all
Yeah.
kind of in community use. So
Yeah.
I think ideas like those are my hope core. Like, yeah.
What a beautiful metaphor to what we talked about earlier too, where it's like if we're gonna be contributing to like let's say this era, Age of Aquarius thing, um, we don't need everyone to have the same skills. In fact, like that would actually not be good for us. We need people that have a different access, different skills, like different things, different items, so that we can instead like contribute towards each other and then address the gaps. Like if you don't have that, I do, and I can also provide this, or you can provide that. And I love that because you're not gonna like fully accomplish your goal if everyone is approaching this like it through this like the same lens. Like we have to have differing opinions and be able to like work through the discomfort to be like, okay, I don't necessarily agree, but like where can we compromise? Or there are some things where let me just name it, like right, like we're not gonna be in vibration, we're not gonna be in alignment, and like you don't force that. But I do think that there's actually a lot more people like in the middle
Mm-hmm.
that are actually willing to at least have those conversations. And to your point, like some folks just need the skill set to be able to work through our internal activation points and our triggers to be like, okay, like I can breathe. I can take a step away and say like I'm going to come back to this conversation, but I'm not currently ready to have that. And there's a lot of power in that instead of I think what our world has turned into, which is like the moment someone says it's something they don't agree with, it's like complete like cut off.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't feel like that's how the world or human beings were supposed to function. It's just there's just been so much that has been thrown our way. But I love your idea. It's like very community. I feel like community care. Like there's places that exist out there where like it's ¿cómo se llama? They're not communes, but like people live on like these
Yeah. They
these
are
spaces where they all
communes,
share
no?
stuff. Are they? Okay,
I
I don't
think
know. I was like, I don't know what
so.
the right word is, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like where people
Yeah.
buy land and they all kind of go live there
Yeah.
together and they,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Uh-huh.
you're right. There are people already trying that out. And the interesting is at the end of the day, we're humans. So like there are
Yeah.
issues, there are things. It's not going to
Fully.
be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but it's worth a try, I think, to
It
like,
is. Look at us. Look
enforce.
at
Yeah.
us talking about some potential light light future.
Woo! And this is coming out around Halloween time. So we hope,
Yes.
amongst all of the crazy stuff that this ending at
Yes.
least brings some like hope and some light into your day and your weekend. But Michael, I know also you're launching like a new way that you're helping people, so feel free to plug yourself,
Yeah.
share where people can
Thank
find
you.
you.
Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Yeah, well, you all can find me on social media. I will be tagged in this episode, but yeah, I'm at a point. Speaking of, what we discussed around like my role, my professional experience has been so rooted in communications, and whether it's content creation or trainings or just like marketing, the stuff that I've done. I really feel like I resonate with the title of a storyteller. I just tell different stories. And a lot of it sometimes, like, yes, it's based off of my own personal experience, but I do feel like I get spiritual downloads. And I know you resonate with this too. Like, where sometimes when I'm sharing a story, it's not just like me that's coming through. Like, it really does feel like
Mm.
ancestral wisdom. Like, it feels like so much more than just me sharing, like, oh, this is what happened to me yesterday. So, anyways, all to say that I made the decision to be like, you know what? I want to help other people do the same. I want to help other organizations and individuals to do the same. And so I'm now consulting and just expanding. I was like, I want to go to different places and do public speaking engagements. I've done that before in my business, but I'm now at a point where, speaking of healing, I've done a lot of individual healing, still continuing, but it's helped me to realize like there's not going to be a perfect time. I don't need to be at a perfect level of existing because that doesn't exist to go for my dreams. And
Yeah.
that's why we ebb and flow in life. And so now I'm like, just freaking do it. Like, just put yourself out there. So that's the phase that I am in right now, is like putting myself out there. And I just believe at the end of the day, like the universe is going to be like, hey, Michael said he's available. This organization says they're available. Plop. So that's my hope. That's where I'm at.
Okay, so helping organizations and individuals tell their story, is that what you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have like professional marketing experience, like the branding, messaging, social media, but at the core of it, I really do believe it's like storytelling. It's like helping, whether it's an individual or an organization, to like get centered on their message and their story and then
Mm-hmm.
deliver it. Because one thing is like, oh, I can tell you about like branding, but I'm like, there's a story to be told, right? And like helping people
Mm-hmm.
to cultivate that and package it in a way where they're like, okay, I'm ready to go tell it. Um, and yeah, I'm just really excited about that because I feel like that's part of my gift. And in a spiritual reading that I had, I was told I had the gift of oration. So like
Okay.
oratory, speeching, storytelling, that's
Yeah.
just part of my like spiritual journey. And I was like, oh, that. So that's what it is. So yeah,
Ooh,
so I'm excited. Thank you.
awesome. Yeah. And I'll link our first and second. So this will be our third episode together if
Oh,
you guys want to
yay.
go
Okay.
check
Yeah.
that out. But thank you so much, Michael. Like I said, I
Thank
was
you.
excited. I feel like I've gotten personally good feedback on our episodes together. Like, oh, you and
Yeah.
Michael, you guys have such great conversations. So I always look forward to having them. And yeah, thank you for your time, for what you do. Because I think like in this conversation, I could tell like how the fact that you did it during the campaign post, the way that you're connecting the dots, it's all like helping you refine the way you speak about it too. And that's helpful,
Yeah.
like you're saying, maybe an opportunity will come or you will create an opportunity where this is going to be so helpful that you've allowed yourself to do the scary thing, to speak about the hard stuff. And so I think that's really special. We're going to need people who do the bold thing. So yeah, thank you.
Ooh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yay. Okay, pues thank you guys for listening. If you know a fellow tin hatted person
Yeah.
in your
Foil
life
tin hat.
that, yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, yeah, foil tin hat person that needs to hear from fellow first gens, share this with them, with your amigas, amigos, amigues. Thank you guys so much. And we hope you have a good and safe weekend if you guys are celebrating Halloween. But yeah, okay, pues. Bye.